This is HSSC online support program for grade 11 and 12. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss another feature of the sentences, and that is their structure. The structure of a sentence can also differ from one sentence to the other, just like its type, and it's important for the reader to not only know about the type of sentence that she is reading, but also about the structure used for the formation of the sentence. So students, we are going to study or review the definition of sentence again today. Then we talk about subject and predicate. We will discuss what is the main and subordinate clause and their difference as well. Then the main topic, the types of sentence. We will discuss types of sentence according to their structure. So after having this lesson, we believe that students will be able to identify subject and predicate. You could know that what is a subject and predicate in a sentence. You would know about main and subordinate clause. You can differentiate between them, and also you can differentiate between different sentence structure and how many types of sentences according to the structure. What is a sentence? A sentence is any group of words that appear together and make up a complete thought. They convey complete thought. This is a group of words that has subject and predicate. Look at the examples. He rested when evening came. Little knowledge is the dangerous thing. Birds fly and fish swim. All these examples, all these three sentences, they all contain subject and predicate. Also, they convey complete meaning. What is a subject and what is a predicate? Look at this, please. He rested when evening came. He is a subject in here, and rest of the sentence besides the subject is predicate. Little knowledge is dangerous thing. Just like the first one, little knowledge is the subject and another part is the predicate. Birds fly and fish swim. Yes, there are two subjects and two verbs. Birds fly and fish swim. So what are main and subordinate clauses? His courage won him honor. The moon was bright and we could see our way. They rested when evening came. Now look at the number of clauses these sentences contain. One clause, two clauses, and two clauses as well. Yes. But can you differentiate that in sentence 2 and 3, which one is main clause and which one is subordinate clause? Let's elaborate. So what is an independent clause? An independent clause is a group of words that can stand on its own as a sentence. It has a subject, a verb, and is a complete thought. That is really important. That it is a clause that has a complete thought in it. Look at the examples. He ran. Students, you may notice that these are only two words. He ran. But while this sentence only contains two words, it is still a complete sentence. Why? Because it contains a one-word subject and a one-word predicate. And he ran gives complete meaning. It has complete thought. So it is an independent clause, a complete sentence. He ran fast. I was late to work. These all are complete sentences and independent clause. They don't need any extra information to complete meaning. So what is a dependent clause? A dependent clause is a group of words that also contains a subject and a verb. Yes, clauses are those group of words that have subject and verb. So, but it is not a complete thought. Yes, this is the main thing. Independent clauses, they convey complete meaning, they have complete thought, but dependent clauses are the clauses that do not contain complete meaning and they do not convey complete thought. Because it is not a complete thought, a dependent clause cannot stand on its own as a sentence, and it needs some extra information to convey complete meaning. It is dependent on being attached to an independent clause to form a sentence. Look at the examples. Because I woke up late this morning. If you see, there's a subject in the sentence, there's a verb in the sentence, but what? Because I wake up late this morning. What happened next? We don't know. It needs some extra information to complete its meaning. When we arrive in class, then what? We don't know again. Again, it is incomplete meaning. If my neighbor does not pay his rent on time, what will happen? Again, we don't know. Not conveying complete thought. So, dependent clauses can often be identified by words called dependent markers, which are usually subordinating conjunctions. If a clause begins with one of these words, it is dependent and needs to be attached to an independent clause. These are after, as, although, because, before, even though, if, once, rather than, since, that, though, unless, until, when, whenever, whereas, while, among others. His courage won him honor. How many clauses are there? Only one clause, and it conveys complete meaning. It can stand alone. The moon was bright and we could see our way. How many clauses are there? Two clauses are there, and if you see, they both can stand alone. They both are independent clauses. They rested when evening came. Yes, now look at this. Yes, there are two clauses, and what about its type? They rested is an independent clause, but what about when evening came? When evening came, if we omit they rested were in the sentence, then it becomes when evening came. Then what happened afterwards? We don't know. So we need to put some extra information over here. So it is not the clause that convey its own meaning, complete meaning. So when evening came needs something added to convey complete meaning. So it is dependent clause. They rested when evening came. Now look at the difference between main and subordinate clause again. Main clause, it's a group of words that contains a subject and a predicate and can stand alone as an independent sentence. Subordinate clause, a group of words that contain a subject and a predicate which cannot stand alone as an independent sentence. Main clause expresses a complete thought. Subordinate clause cannot express a complete thought. Main clause can function as an independent sentence. Subordinate cannot function as an independent sentence. Main clause doesn't begin with a subordinate conjunction or a relative pronoun, while subordinate clause begins with a subordinate conjunction or a relative pronoun. So, what is the difference between clause and sentence? Clause is a group of words that contain a subject and a verb, while group of words that expresses a complete thought is called a sentence. Sometimes clauses they convey a complete thought, but sentences they always convey a complete thought. They are the building unit of a sentence, while sentence is made up of one or more clauses. Clause can act as a noun, adverb or adjective, while sentence they do not act as a noun, adverb or adjective. Students, as we have learned that there are two types of clauses, independent and dependent. Dependent clauses, they cannot stand alone because they do not express a complete thought, while independent clauses, they can stand alone and they convey complete thought. Independent and dependent clauses can be used in a number of ways to form the four basic types of sentences. What are these sentences? Look at this. Simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence. Now it's time to make their acquaintance. Let's start it. A simple sentence. What is a simple sentence? It has single subject and a verb. It contains one independent clause. So what's an independent clause? You remember it. It's one subject followed by verb, one verb or verb phrase. It expresses a single idea. Remember that it expresses single idea. Look at the examples. His courage won him honor. Barking dogs seldom bite. One should not tell a lie. So these all are simple sentences because they have one subject and the verb and one verb as well, and they convey complete and single idea. One idea is there. And notice that a simple sentence isn't necessarily short. It can be multiple words describing a single person or object as well. Compound sentence. What is a compound sentence? It contains more than one independent clauses. A compound sentence has two independent clauses joined by a linking verb. What are these linking verbs? They are like and, but, or, so, yet. Look at the examples. Birds fly and fish swim. I study, but my friend watches television. So if you look at all these sentences, contain two subjects and two verbs. Alright, so these are two clauses and these are independent clauses. They own meaning. What type of conjunctions? They are called as fan voice, just to remember them. There are 7 coordinators or coordinating conjunctions. They are used in compound sentences and they are also called coordinating conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Kinds of sentences. Let's difference between now complex sentence. A complex sentence is made up of a dependent and independent clause. Look at the examples. He rested when evening came. If I go to Quetta, I will bring dry fruits. Although he is weak, he is doing hard work. If you notice, they all contain two clauses, but one is dependent and another is independent clause. He rested when evening came. We have already discussed it. If I go to Quetta, I will bring dry fruits. If I go to Quetta, we don't know. It's a dependent clause, so we need to put some more information, that is, I will bring dry fruits. Although he is weak, then what? We don't know. He's doing hard work. So these are two clauses. One is dependent and another is independent. As compound sentences contain coordinating conjunctions, the complex sentences contain subordinating conjunctions. What are these? There are a number of subordinate conjunctions. Some of them are here. Try to learn them, that what are subordinating conjunctions. They are after, although, as, in order that, at least, now that, wherever, while, before, even though, how, if, in, as much, when, whenever, whereas, as though, because, even if, though, until, unless, as if, as long as much as soon, since, so that, and that. Try to memorize them. So now we have compound complex sentences. What are these? They are the sentences that contain at least one dependent and at least two independent clauses. Alright? It has at least one coordinating conjunction, at least two subordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions are meant for compound sentences and subordinating conjunctions are meant for complex sentences. Look at the examples. After the storm passed, we went out and picked the flowers. What is this? After the storm passed. Don't know what happened later. So we need to put some extra information, that is, we went out and picked the flowers. They both are independent clauses. While the first is after the storm passed, this is dependent clause. If we go to Quetta, I will bring dry fruits and he will bring cherries. Again, one dependent clause and two independent clauses. After the storm passed, we went out and picked the flowers because they were beautiful. Another example. Alright? So here's a summary. We have learned about 4 sentence structures. They are simple, having one independent clause, I kick the ball. Compound, 2 or more independent clauses. I kicked the ball and it hit Tom. Complex sentences, independent clause and 1 or more dependent clauses. Tom cried because the ball hit him. Compound complex, 2 or more independent clauses and 1 or more dependent clauses. Tom cried because the ball hit him and I apologized immediately. So, as we have learned the types of sentences, here's a task for you. There are some sentences and you need to classify these sentences into their kinds. You also need to underline the clauses and write their types. What are their types, like main or subordinate, independent or dependent clause. And I really urge you students to go through the slides again, read all the types of sentences and then attempt this task. If you have any question, you may ask, but I suggest you to go through the slides again to get better understanding of this topic. Thank you so much.